Hello, everybody. How you doing, guys? Thank you for coming to this amazing fireside chat with David Maman of Bina. So let me tell you a little bit about Startup Grind for just a second, and then we'll kick off this amazing. Startup Grind is the world's largest community of entrepreneurs. We have more than 3 million entrepreneurs joining in our activities all over the world, which is in over 600 chapters in over 125 countries. We're talking about a community that's been around ever since a nice guy named Derek Anderson, who is also the founder of this system that we're in right now. And raised $15 million for that to kick the butts of the likes of Zoom. Founded about 10 years ago, 10 and a half years ago, something like that. We have three main values in our community. The first one is make friends, not contacts. The second one is give first. And the third one, which is I love the most, is think about others before you think about yourself. So without further ado, I got a short announcement to make. We want to say happy birthday to the one and only Shachar Matorin.
Thank you.
No, it's not you. It's not you. Shachar Matorin, who is, let's say, the guy who brought Startup Grind to Israel 8 years ago, and is one of the partners of this entire thing. So
happy
Shachar,
birthday,
I know.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, I know you can hear us. You can talk, but we want to wish you a happy birthday. Great you as our mentor. So, Noya, you want to start this amazing journey?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Tal. And I think that I will start with my favorite question, actually. I want you, David, to tell us, how did it all begin? Tell us a little bit about your childhood and about your entrepreneurial journey. How did you become who you are today?
Well, how should, the funniest part I remember is that if you recall Austin Powers, when they have in Austin Powers this kind of question that Dr. Evil needs to talk about himself. So he started, but, well, the details of my life are quite inconsequential. My father was a relentlessly self-improving boulangerie owner from Belgium. Anyhow, it's really funny, and if you haven't seen it because you're just too young or anything, you should definitely do. But I guess that I was born in the north of Israel, in a small place called Yokneam. And growing up in Yokneam, don't be that shocked. It's not such a bad place.
I'm from Kiryat Chaim, so we're almost neighbors.
I can talk down at you.
Don't be that shocked.
I'm kidding. But I grew up in Yokneam, and my parents are still there, so I get to visit there every other month or so. And I grew up in an age where personal computers were not out there yet. I'm not that young. I'm 43 now. And growing up in this kind of a situation is that the first time I saw a computer, I think I was 13 years old. It was a 286 or something like that, 386 architecture device. But at the second that I started touching computers, and I mean it in a good way, I started touching computers, I guess I got infected. And by that, I mean actually that the ability to get into very, very low level details, because to be honest, I just wanted to create my own games. I was just a kid. I was 13 and a half years old, and I said, damn, I want to create my own games. The games that they were there were extremely lousy. And then I understood what it means to write code. And I started with Pascal, and then I moved to C and C++ and assembly. So very quickly at the age of 15, I found myself writing in assembly in multiple architectures, started working in full-time at the age of 15 because I was really into that. I hated school, I have to say, during those times. And, like many people do, anyhow, at my generation. And starting and working and writing code in assembly, I was able to find even a job. So I'm talking with you about 1994, 1993. It's been ages ago. Way before the internet was a household thing, before the smartphone, before before OKCupid.
Almost before everything.
Yeah, so everything was not there yet and was not mature enough for this situation. And then I understood that I was kicked out of school at the age of 14 and a half, almost 15. I found a full-time job, and I decided that, well, I need also to study something. And then I wanted to go and do my bachelor degree. And of course, I didn't have Bagut back then, my MIT, my SATs, so I had to finish those first. So I went and did my basics SATs that needed and required in order for me to achieve the requirements in order to work on my bachelor degree. And then I did my bachelor extremely fast. I'm an autodidact, so I can learn by myself very fast. And
Okay.
then I finished also my master's degree by the age of 18. And
Oh, wow.
then I joined the army like any Israeli citizen, and I truly enjoyed my army service. And I think that probably since I was 16, I was mostly focused about or developing something new or breaking something existing. So reverse engineering, because I came from an assembly, I guess, background, everything was about reverse engineering. So a lot of
Yeah.
people call it hacking. That's got nothing to do with reverse engineering, about knowing exactly how to break specific structures of code in order to bypass specific mechanisms in this code, and how you can easily manipulate any type of activity inside of those code. And I was extremely happy during my service. I enjoyed it working in the military. And I guess since then I had this kind of a fever, the entrepreneurial fever. Binah, I'm happy to say, is my
Create
13th
something on
startup.
your own.
Yes, to create something for my
Oh,
own.
wow.
And back then, by the way, it was not just because I wanted to have my own startup. We even didn't call it a startup back then. It was just a
Yeah, it
company,
wasn't that
you know?
known at that times.
Yeah, when I'm talking about 90s, at the 90s, it was not a startup nation. No one even thought about defining those as startups, but
Yeah.
it was about just creating something new. And I started working about my first startup, and very quickly, I guess I'm lucky enough to be working on my 13th startup, where I have 4 exits at the past, and it was very exciting.
That's amazing journey. Very impressive, I must say. And can you tell us just a little bit about the startups? So like few words, what did you do and how you developed Binah.ai, and we will talk about it in a minute as well.
Sure. So I think everything started from my point of view is I was really oriented what people call today cyber. That was my comfort zone. That's where I started. But I went through all the different phases, from operating systems to network protocols to the application layer to the data layer to the database layer to the network layer to, I think I went through everything. And 8 of the startups that I founded were in hardcore, today people call it cybersecurity, but this is, I guess, have a security orientation, but all across the board. From a company that did layer 2 security in switches to a company that did actually application security. I guess we in cybersecurity, you can divide those kind of companies to 2 major categories. The first one is, I guess, uh, uh, I'm just want to use the right definition, but I guess we can call it, one of them are mostly defensive, and the others are mostly, I guess, from the attack point of view. Defensive, and
Okay.
and I guess about half and half. Some of the companies that I started were really oriented on attacking, and some were really oriented on protecting and defending the specific mechanisms that we were after. And the rest of the companies were in completely different subjects, from data aggregation to water saving to a lot of different things, because I find everything interesting.
Wow.
So that's what I truly love doing,
So
exploring. Oh yeah.
just touch on a lot of different verticals. And what is Binah.ai?
So
What do you do now?
I think that the easiest way will be just to show you something, that will truly create the right.
Okay.
So let me just present for a second. Sharing screen. Thank you, sir. Let me know once you see my screen.
Yeah, we can see
Excellent.
it.
So I think that in a very high level, we've been able to develop a
Okay.
technology that allows us to extract vital signs. Something is stuck. God damn it. I don't want to dirty talk your solution, but Now it's hopefully getting better, yes. So the technology that we developed allows us that just by using cameras, we're able to extract vital signs out of the person's face or the person's finger. The technology itself can run on almost any device that have a camera. It doesn't matter if we're talking about smartphones, laptops, tablets, even smart mirrors. Any device with a camera, we're able to extract vital signs. And today we already have heart rate, oxygen saturation, respiration rate, mental stress level, heart rate variability, blood pressure is coming out soon, and we're adding more and more capabilities as time goes on. I think that's in a nutshell. So we've been working very hard on making this kind of things applicable, and I'm very happy to say that we're already cash flow positive, which means we have much more sales than the money we're burning, and it's going well.
And you mentioned that, and I've mentioned it as well, that you come from different verticals. How did you come up with this idea? You have any familiar knowledge with this vertical of healthcare?
So I usually have a cold once a year. No, I'm kidding. But I think that from our perspective, I just really enjoy exploring something new that I had no experience with. And even though none of my previous startups actually was focused about healthcare, in Binah, we actually took it one step forward because we define ourselves, and this is, I guess, a nice definition to talk about, as an enabler. Because we do not sell the application that I just shared with you. What we actually share is actually the technology that allows companies to implement our capabilities. And that's why we define ourselves as enabling the digital health transformation. You know, when we analyzed the world almost 3.5 years ago, okay, carry on.
Yes, of course.
Okay, sorry. So when we analyze the world, I guess everyone knows that there is a global healthcare problem, and it's divided to two. The one is that the healthcare availability is horrible. According to the World Health Organization, half of the world lacks access to essential health services, and it's going to get actually worse. And the second problem is costs. Almost 100 million people annually are pushed into extreme poverty just due to health expenses. And at Binah, what we've been able to understand that the majority of the industry that you see in front of you, whether we're talking about telemedicine and remote medical services, remote patient monitoring, wellness platform, insurance organization, and all of those industries have the obvious need to extract vital signs from their customers or patients in order to take decisions. And we didn't believe that we'll be able to grow that fast. You know, now we're 60 employees already. But the thing was that COVID-19 truly pushed all those industry extremely fast forward. That's, I think, in a high level.
We will talk about COVID-19 in a few minutes, but a little bit before, where are you in the process now with Binah.ai? I mean, what are your goals for the future regarding to the company? If you want maybe work worldwide, if you want to expand, where are you on your milestones?
So, good question. I think that from a startup phase, and I actually created a few slides about that. Let me know if you can see the slide.
Yes.
In a startup phase, you know, everything starts with maybe you're based on your experience or you've just been exploring a new idea, and then you've been able to optimize your idea. And right after that, you have to break it down to a business realization, how you're actually making money from your idea. And then you're building some sort of a prototype that you've been able to prove your idea. And then you're optimizing your MVP. You launch your solution. You refocus many because you understand that there's changes as the company evolves. And then you've been able to create some sort of traction, paying customers. And then you can monetize this kind of traction to get deals. And then you finally get to the growth point. I'm very happy to say that Binah is in the growth point currently.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have...
And you guys...
Please go ahead.
Now, I just want to know, you guys work, I guess, worldwide. You have design partners around the world, like you plan to expand to different markets around the world?
So we passed this stage. We have 5 salespeople in the US. We have a salespeople person in the UK. We have a salesperson in Japan. We have 4 people that take care of the rest of the world, specifically the entire Africa region and Europe. So we passed the design stage, we're in growth stage. The product is in production, over 55 paying customers, so we passed this stage.
Wow. And can I ask about the goals for the future?
Of course. So because
where you see yourself and Binah in the next 5 years, for example.
Whoa. 5 doesn't exist in a startup world. Let's be honest. No one can think about 5 years, but let's talk during the next 2 years. So currently our technology runs on about 7 to 10 million devices by organization that implemented our technology. The target for 2021 is to get to 100 million devices. And when we will be running on 100 million devices, it means that in 2022, we will get to about 400 million devices because our scale is extremely easy to achieve. And our goal eventually is to run almost on any device surrounding you, for smart TV, your laptop, your smartphone, anything. And the goal from my KPI as a CEO, I'm also the CTO in the company, which is not really common, but I do both positions.
Oh, wow.
Wow, thank you. I guess that my KPI as a CEO and the CTO is to have our product run on any platform, to have our solution be working even a very, very low resource architecture. And as a CEO, my goal, to be honest, is numbers. If this year we will have sales about $20 to $25 million in sales, next year I expect to have between $80 to $100 million sales. So my goals are very high, and that's I'm always demanding from myself above average, and we'll be able to see where we'll get to.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. And I just want, before we jump to the next question, I have a new question actually.
Sure.
You mentioned that you, the CTO and the CEO. How does it work together? It's pretty rare in startups.
I know it's, especially when the startup grows and we are 60 people now. But I think that because throughout my career, I was always the CTO and many times also helping management. And at this time, I decided I do both cases. So it really demands me to have between 12 to 14 hours working days on an average, but I'm still fulfilling both of those, I guess, positions and capabilities. And so far, it's been going well.
Well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
This is really impressive. If I thought that your childhood story was impressive, this is really impressive.
I'm doing everything I can to impress you.
That's a good example for the young entrepreneurs that are watching us and will watch us in the future. So I wish them good luck as well. Fill the 2 positions.
Sure.
And Tal, would
By
you
the way,
like to continue?
I'm not sure it's such a good thing to kill yourself for the company. I think that next year I will probably search for a new CTO or a new CEO. We'll see how it goes. But it's not such a good thing. And we'll talk about it in a minute.
Great. I want to hear that, but we will talk about it in a minute.
Sure.
Tal, would you like to join us?
Yeah.
I saw that you just,
join us, Tal. Join us.
Great.
Don't be ashamed. Don't be.
Yeah. I just Noya, you're gonna have to okay. So basically, our next question is let's move for what we actually came here to talk about, which is DeepTech. And if there's anybody who is an expert in DeepTech, it's you, David.
How will you define DeepTech? I would love to know that.
So please do that for me. How do you define DeepTech?
I think, to be honest, I was thinking about it just the other day, and the definition for DeepTech, I think anything that is just above a front user, not based on user experience only, anything that goes deeper and deeper. And I think from our perspective, currently at Binah, we have 15 PhDs working for us. And those PhDs coming mostly from physics. So we have a hard, very, very strong research team. From my perspective, I think when it comes to DeepTech is the ability to create something, I don't want to say from nothing, because eventually we're all using the signals and the data collected by the devices, but the ability to create something new. Don't get me wrong, and actually do get me wrong. I was talking with a friend and I say, I would have never recommend to invest in Instagram. This company was sold for more than $1 billion. No, $900 million, sorry. Because basically they're just using a few filters and the user experience is perfect. Today, they actually have DeepTech because they're actually creating a lot of analysis and they're starting to add a lot of AI capabilities. But DeepTech, in a high level, I think that when we're trying to go as deep as possible, and where the IP that you're creating, and not just from an IP registration, but actually the IP of the originality level of the things that you're creating, requires you to do a lot of research and a lot of work. And deep tech can be in anything. You know, from a cybersecurity product, you can be a company that's just doing something very basic, like creating a policy that is based on the data that you have, or you can generate a new, completely new approach to device drivers that actually eliminate a specific attack vector. So deep tech can be in cyber, can be in fintech, can be in healthcare, can be in everything.
So why do you think there are so many Israeli deep tech companies? Why is it? I mean, if I compare it to other places, then we have a lot.
A lot. So I guess
proportionally,
that,
I mean. You know.
yes, but this is exactly the same numbers that if you compare the number of people that got a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or a PhD in Israel. In Israel, we have some of the highest PhDs per capita in the world. And I think that as the education is better and the capabilities are better and the innovation is being inherited to many of the people in Israel, then you want to go deeper and deeper and not just create another app that does nothing, I guess. I'm not underestimating any simple applications. Some of the simplest applications are the most genius one, don't get me wrong. But I don't find it intriguing and fascinating to work on something that is just based on user experience, for example. Some people which have the artistic point of view to things are brilliant. Take a look at Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs have never ridden a driver by himself, but he had the touch of gold when it comes to user interface. User interface, by its nature, I think it's less of the deep tech, and mostly we dig deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole.
And why do you think Israeli deep tech companies are so successful? Again, if you compare it to other.
Yeah. So I think we're in a new generation since for the past 5 to 10 years, because if in the past we were very focused on a startup nation. Startup means most of the companies are very small, very unique, very deep tech oriented, very innovative, but almost none of them have grown. If we'll go back 10 or 12 years ago, the number of companies that had over $100 million in sales were 5 to 10 companies. Today, you can see hundreds of companies that are in the growth stage. And growth means, you know, being able to generate way above $50 million a year. And now when we're talking about hundreds of those companies, so I think the entire ecosystem is evolving and we're getting much more mature to understand how to build big companies. And why in Israel we are more, I guess, oriented for deep tech, I guess it's in the nature of people. That's eventually, you know, I can talk about the army and I can talk again about the education. I can talk about the competition, creativity, but until 10 years ago, everyone knew that in Israel you can get amazing top-notch technologists, but the majority of the managers are shitty. We did not know how to execute and create a company that can grow. We knew how to create amazing tech, but productizing it and being able to have a huge market penetration or market creation, which is much harder, was never an Israeli thing. And finally it is. You can see so many companies such as Tabula, such as, you know, so many great example. Monday, for a company that their evaluation is unicorn style, and they actually have sales of hundreds of millions of dollars a year. And that's fascinating to be in this.
Now, looking at, let's say, I'm not going to, like you said, there's no 5 years in your mind, but if you look at like a year or two from now, okay, what are the trends that you foresee in this vertical of deep tech?
So I think 3 things are about to go huge. Agritech is going to go huge, and I think the majority of the industries that were not evolving that fast with technology, which is basically agritech, health tech, which now health tech is booming, by the way, as you can see. You know, speaking with investors just about 3 years ago, almost no one have done investments in health, and now you see each and every VC had a new portfolio based for healthcare and digital health. So healthcare is now in the boom situation. Coming soon is agritech. And I think that later on is a combination of health tech and embedded devices. Everyone is going to have an embedded devices. That's what I truly see. And with that, we can start thinking about transportation. You know, we're still using the same buses and almost the same cars. Tesla, no Tesla. It's the same car, the same, I guess, point of understanding. Don't get me wrong, Tesla are great. I had a Tesla, but it's the same way. Last mile transportation was evolving great, but we're still using scooters. There's nothing that efficient yet. So I think that transportation, hardcore green transportation, agri-tech, and healthcare for the next few years for sure.
And just, you know, in my curiosity, if you were to penetrate the agri-tech vertical, for instance,
Yes.
how much can you really emphasize the tech part?
So when we're talking about agri-tech, we have to, first of all, like any subject that we analyze, start breaking it down to the different part of it. So let's start with the first part, operational part. In the majority of the countries, people are still picking oranges from trees manually. In the majority of the countries, people are still picking up watermelons from the ground manually. So I think that from an operational point of view, from growth management to pickup management to getting it to the store operation line and everything to be operated, those are still places that have not been explored. You know, there's a great company called Tevel that actually created drones that pick your oranges automatically using drones, and that's amazing. But that's just the beginning. Because take a look of the entire life cycle of any kind of a fruit or a vegetable. From the point of a seed to a product that you can buy in the supermarket, there are about 100 different challenges that have to be resolved. And I'm not even talking about how to create better seeds. You know, if we would like to have a better seeds that will create fruits and vegetables that cannot be penetrated by insects, we would like to do fruits that can survive critical weather conditions. This is more of a biology research point of view, but this is also a hardcore deep tech. So there's so many different challenges in agri-tech that we're just starting to explore and understand. This kind of maybe my next startup, who knows?
It's good. That's really smart. Now let's move for a second into, let's say, some current events. All right.
Sure.
Of course, we're all going to go back to quarantine. Without getting into politics, and it doesn't really matter for us.
I don't care about politics.
Yeah, for us, doesn't really matter. I just had a conversation with one of my sponsors in Ireland in my business, and he's saying, "Look, you know, you guys are going now."
A sponsor like a sugar daddy, or?
Oh yeah, you got me, you got me. But,
why am I not surprised?
Yeah, thank you.
I'm kidding. Come on.
So
Exactly.
basically, he said, "You going now? We're only a few weeks away." So the entire world is actually going to quarantine, and I'm really fascinated about how can you manage a startup with 60 employees, which is growing right now, in such a situation.
I guess when, you know, let's be honest, the majority of the startups, when they got to the point where they needed to scale and expand worldwide, some of the people used to travel. So for the startups that went through those situations for the past 20 years, there's nothing new about working from distance. And today when every other mail that you get is some company from Belarus or Ukraine that try to sell you some development services, I get about 20 of those every week. So remote working, there's nothing new for startups. And today, the majority of my employees are still in Israel. Above 45 are in Israel, but the rest, salespeople and support, some of them are abroad. And for us, it's a bit annoying because development is not going that fast. But this is another day at the office. Let's be honest. In the high-tech organizations, unless you truly create something physical that requires a manufacturing line, and as long as you're in the software industry, you can work remotely. You know, WeWork eventually was the connecting them remotely together. And WeWork now is not in such a great situation. But, and don't get me wrong, I'm not underestimating WeWork in any way, but the thing about working remotely have not changed anything for us. Yes, we had to reduce the speed that we were aiming at. Working from home just make things a bit tougher when you have one Zoom connected with one group and one Google Talk with other group and one Blue Jeans with other group, and you have those crazy situations that you have to talk with. That's annoying, and it's not working the same like getting people into an office space. But it's okay. And that's why I think the world is never going to go back to the same situation. That's why the majority of the
That's
office
exactly
place.
what I wanted to ask you. Is it the future, actually? I mean, it's
so
COVID just basically gave us a push in the behind.
So
speed it up?
For the future.
I was actually talking, there's a very interesting HR group of about 7 VP HRs that I'm talking with every now and then. They invite me to their meetings to just discuss about trends and so, and I truly think that the future means that the majority of the people will work 2 days a week at the office and the rest from wherever they wish. You know, it doesn't matter where you are. You want to work from Belarus, you want to work from Vietnam, you want to work from Chiang Mai, beautiful place, by the way. It doesn't matter. It truly doesn't matter. You have your tasks, everyone using Jira, everyone is using Zoom. Do your work. Doesn't matter if you're a QA guy, a developer guy, a product guy, you have your tasks, and as long as you are able to manage yourself and not waste too much time on this new Netflix series, do your work. I really don't care. By the way, that's why for my employees, I told them since day one, 3 years before COVID-19, I don't care where you work from. You know how to manage yourself. You know how to deliver. Work from home. And I think about more than half of the company, we're spending at least 2 to 3 days a week working from home. Especially when you have 2 people from Jerusalem, 2 people from Ashdod, 1 person from Beersheba. It doesn't make sense that they need to spend 2 or 3 hours a day on public transportation. So it's nothing new in high tech. I'm sorry that I'm breaking some people's wind, but that's how I truly see that.
All right, so now I gave you a promise, if you remember, that you're going to be taking the time right now to provide novice entrepreneurs with tips in a presentation that you prepared. So
sure,
the floor is yours.
Oh, I love people that
stepping out,
fulfill their promises. So I wanted to share with you, actually, as I mentioned before, this is the start of phases, as we talked about. But I think that throughout my experience, and I've been an entrepreneur for more than 20 years, goddamn, I'm old, but I've been an entrepreneur for a very long time. And I think that I'm going to give you, besides this list, of course, but I'm going to give you 10 tips and explain some of them. So follow up, no ask questions regarding if I'm a CEO or a CTO and so on. And why do I do both? Because I had the experience and I had the, I guess, the time to learn how to do both positions better than I used to. And the first tip that I can give you is do what you're good at and find the right team. If you're a young entrepreneur and you would like to start something, or you're already working on something, do what you're good at. If you're a great product guy, focus on the product. If you're a great developer, if you're a great operational manager, do what you're good at, because you're wasting a lot of time. The second thing that is extremely important, and I've learned it only for the past 10 years, at the beginning I was always doing this mistake, is that strategy is to know what not to do. Because when you're developing a new product or a new approach or a new solution, many times you want to keep all your doors open. For example, our solution today, I could work on also using Binah's technology to work inside of hospitals, next to bedrooms in the hospitals. But that's a completely different architecture and different strategy. That's why you have to find slowly to laser focus about what you truly do, and you have to start saying no as soon as possible to all those doors that you keep on maintaining open. Next rule, there is no rules when it comes to money. Raising money is the evolution of each and every startups. Some people can do it all the way just after they have an MVP. Some people do it on a presentation just when they finalize their idea. There are no rules. Don't expect anyone to be able to have you the list of how to do it right. Each and every VC works differently. Each and every angel thinks differently. Each and every family member that have some money to invest will expect different things. So there are no rules and everything can happen. I have a billion gazillion funny stories about raising money. I was able to raise, I guess, over $200 million so far. So I had a lot of experience with that. So building a team is one of the toughest challenges when it comes to startups, undoubtedly. And it's important to understand that please, 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 please don't settle on average. I call it the downfall effect. And what do I mean by that? If you need to hire now a new developer, and there's the A grade, the best developers, there are the B grade, which are okay, there are the C grade, and of course, as you get a better developer, he costs more, he or she, of course, they cost more. And many times people do those mistakes and say, I do not have the budget to hire the best person now, so I'll take a B grade. The problem is when you hire a B grade, many times they will never hire an A grade. They will only hire a B or a C grade. And this kind of a downfall effect, it brings it to the point where you have your development team or a product team, or it doesn't matter, that all of them are B and C and sometimes even horribly D that do nothing. So always don't settle for average. Find the best team, make them believe in your vision, make them believe in the future. And that's how you can hire the best people. So why? What's so funny?
I love that sentence.
Yeah, so fake it till you make it. A lot of people use it, but I just want to
But
give a
it's
few
true.
funny. Yeah, it's true. So I have this great friend. She's an MD, and she always used to tell me that when she was on her 6th year of studies to be a physician, some doctor came and asked her a question about something she studied about 5 years ago, and then she said the sentence, "Nachon lo nachon chartet bevitachon." And I guess fake it till you make it is the easier and nicer translation to what she said. But if someone asks you something, don't lie, but talk with confidence. And you have sometimes to fake it. And when I was a young entrepreneur, I'm not doing that for the past 10 years, thanks God, but you have to build up your confidence. And you have to understand that people will look on the way that you answer and not specifically on the answer itself. Don't bullshit and don't lie, don't get me wrong, but find a way how to do that. Second tip is your optimism and energy must be contagious, because you have to understand that startups have a lot of ups and downs, and sometimes it's downs and downs and downs and downs. And in these cases, you have to be optimistic. You have to bring the energy to everyone else. And without you being optimistic, the company will just die. That's how simple it is. Number 4 is probably should have been number 1. But think about the value the customer gets and not the solution or the technology. Because even if you're designing an amazing technology, the value is what you're able to make the biggest money out of. What do I mean by that? So one of the companies that I founded is named Teridion. Teridion creates an SDN-based acceleration path for data over the cloud. And at the beginning, we thought about, wait, if we are able to bring the data, whether it's a video or a file, much, much faster to the person who's delivering the data, then we are actually competing with Akamai or any other CDN-based solution. So when we started talking with customers, they actually placed it in this cubicle. So you went to talk with the, I guess we can call it network manager or delivery manager, and he compared you to Akamai. At the second that we understand what it means to create something to work faster, it means better conversion. Conversion is the magic word of every company that works on making things better when it comes to making sales better. So when we started talking with the marketing and sales team and telling them, listen, if you are providing a service today and we can increase your conversion from trials to paying customer, that's what it's all about. So selling a technology solution to actually marketing and sales guy is only understandable when it comes to conversion to paying customer. And that's what we've been able to do. Number 3, startup is a marathon and it's never a sprint, never ever. Set a short-term goals, see the tiny successes, see the baby steps that you will be able to create, I guess, a winning spirit and a winner's attitude inside of your company. If you've been able to achieve tiny goals, everyone will have much more power to keep on going. Don't set 3 months processes to new releases. Don't set too long-term goals, tiny goals, and then achievements making the entire company works better. Number 2, seek out the negative feedback. Showing something cool to your best friend that loves you and will be amazed. That's amazing! No, it's never is that amazing. Okay, it's never like that. So try to find the people that don't like you to show them what you're doing. Try to find the people that have done that 10,000 times in order to give you the right feedback. Seek out the negative feedback means that only from a real negative feedback, you don't have to agree with it, but you'll have to listen and at least to be able to build up a new plan sometimes, and that happens all the time. 1.5. A lot of people use the AI buzzword, okay? AI is marketing definition. Doesn't matter if you're talking about machine learning, deep learning, genome algorithms, or fuzzy logic. Those are all part of AI. But it's not about AI per se. It's about the return on investment, which means the ROI, the value that you're able to create using AI capabilities and tools. In the next probably 2 years, AI is going to be as native as a development language. Statistical estimation is going to be part of each and every process. So please don't use "we do AI." That means absolutely nothing. And the last thing is just, I guess, never give up. It's hard because startup and entrepreneur is a very hard way to live, but it's so rewarding and it's so generating a lot of, I guess, impact. And we in Binah, I know it might sound funny for some people, but we truly believe in tikkun olam. And in tikkun olam, if we're able to make healthcare available anywhere, that's our goal. So never give up, I guess. So that was just, in a nutshell, some highlights.
And that was amazing.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Thank
with
you.
all the
guys.
tips.
Thank you, guys.
Couldn't agree more.
So
That was great.
yeah. So in what 3 days we're going to be celebrating the New Year's Eve.
Shana Tova, motherfuckers. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. But Shana Tova, everyone.
Yeah, but
okay.
What do we bless you with, David?
I guess, to be honest, I was very fortunate in my life. So I feel that I'm truly blessed. And I think that it might sound a cliche, but giving. Bless me with giving. Bless me to give more and to be able to afford to give more and to be able to share more. That's, I think, in a very high level, my goals in life now. I know it's a cliche. I know it sounds like, come on, don't bullshit us. I truly mean that. And for the new year, if everyone will learn to give a bit more and again, it's not just about money. It's about attention. It's about kindness. It's about that. So bless me with that. I think that's what we're after eventually.
So just like I said, one of our values inside of Grind, is give first. Because we believe in karma. We believe that as much as you give to somebody, eventually, you're not even expecting to get a return, but you will get a return.
I think that even from a philosophical point of view, think about that. You have just received a box full with chocolates, and it's full. That's it, and you're hardly holding it. How will be able to get more if you want to make place by giving some? So if you want to keep on getting, give.
Okay, so without further ado, we said
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach, Shana Tova.
Shana Tova, everyone.
Shana Tova.
L'chaim.
L'chaim. David, it was a pleasure hosting you as always.
Thank you, Tal. Thank you, everyone.
Amazing, and of course, guys, we hope to see you in our next events. Okay, so take care and have a good night.
Everyone. Good night, everyone. Bye bye.
Shana Tova.
Bye bye. Shana Tova.